Hey everyone, this is Arado and we're here to talk about the new Halloween banner featuring Narwhal's daughter, Silver, Tatyana, and Death. Before we start, I want to give a quick shout out to Denny Dross. So she is our resident artist for Romancing Saga art. As you know, she posts her stuff on Reddit. So I'm using one of her art with Kami serving the pumpkin spice coffee. That's an inspiration from the recent JP Kami style. So um, please visit her page on Twitter. You would see a lot of her artwork, not just for Romancing Saga, but also some artwork with Octopath and Final Fantasy and so on. But yeah, with that, let's move to the rundown of the banner. As you can tell, I have changed the format a little so that I don't focus on the point system of how we grade the style, but rather I'm just gonna go through the different functions each character can do, and then from there, I would just be giving out some important points for you to consider if that would help you if you would like to pull for the banner or not. And that let's start the review. I'll start off with Narwhal's daughter. So Narwhal's daughter is, I would say, potentially the star of the banner, mainly because what she can do is pretty useful and unfortunately just for hard content. So that's why her change with ability number 3 being high protect tension, she becomes more sturdy, that she would be able to survive harder contents. The unique skill she has is the trick or treat carnival, wherein it's a debuff to all enemies. And taking note that it's a support, so it doesn't need to hit and go through the willpower roll of the enemy for you to be able to inflict the debuff. So when that is casted, it's almost always would inflict the debuff, just like Halloween Cat's feline dance. So in the same manner, and with the global change where she would have a BP plus one effect to it, that makes it really appealing, especially for for hard content and long battles where any extra help with either healing, mitigate, or especially with this BP battery is very useful. And then her other two skills is unfortunately not that useful in hard content. So she can do paralyze with skill number 1 and she can do dex debuff with skill number 2. So as you know, dex and agility debuffing with the reset where the game is at right now in global, that it has lesser value than how it was in the initial part of the game. So right now it's more into doing the debuff so you are able to survive the attack from the enemy. So that's why, if anything, for Narwhal's daughter, you would most likely be doing Trick or Treat Carnival, and then you would be inheriting revitalizing water as well. um, it would be hard to inherit, say, Water Festival, because with that um, you would be in a pinch where you would have to pick between buffing the party with Water Festival or debuffing all the enemies with Trick or Treat Carnival. So both of those are useful, and you don't want um, one character to be stuck in needing to decide to do one or the other, if you can have other characters to do certain the other aspect that you wanted Narwhal's daughter to do. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so after Narwhal's daughter, there is Silver. So Silver is more of a DPS, and in global we had a opportunity to experience heat up with Summer Liza. So Silver used to be the first character with the heat up buff. So heat up, for everyone's knowledge, is an attack passive that goes into the character and it lasts for the entire battle regardless of whether the character dies or not. So that's why if you see a character that has a heat up with certain condition, that means that character will need some time to build up to their maximum power, and most likely would be used either for the DPS battle, you know, those 5 or 10 turn raid battles, and you do as much damage as you can, or you know, for long battles like say a hard boss where you would need a good DPS, and they would be so heat up or defense up characters would be able to build up their status as the battle progresses. But for silver specifically, it's more of mainly using heat up for round number 1 and round number 3 if you're farming on a 3 rounder, because her ability number 1 takes effect on an odd turn. So that's a global change from JP where heat up takes effect on an even turn instead. And then she also has some BP battery in her where she would recover her own BP if she defeats a target. So that's a good thing, especially with either her skill number 2 or skill number 3, wherein skill number 2 is more for AoE farming, and then skill number 3 is more for boss slash single target farming. Um, you would be more you would be able to do better AoE farming with inherit from Summer Silver because of the fast skill she has with Storm Roar and covering cold and lightning element, which is pretty rare, and a lot of enemies are weak to those elements as well. And then one thing to note is, and I forgot for Narwhal's daughter, so for Silver, she would have a UDX style later on, a martial arts one, which is kind of, they're designing it kind of like Liam, where she would have the heat up system, and then she would also have the follow-up attack, which does pretty decent damage. But the problem is being MA that it's hard to fully maximize the damage compared to say Liam using a gun. So take note of that. And also UDX Silver doesn't need any inherit from this style if anything. Or if you would like to use UDX Silver for farming, then Halloween Silver with skill number 2 would enable her for AoE farming, if anything. Going back to Narwhal's daughter real quick. So she would have a future style as well. It's the beachside style, where she would have all healing skills. She would have skill number 1 and skill number 3 as an active skill, and then skill number 1 has a low chance to heal the party with small effect, and then skill number 3 has a medium chance to heal the party with medium effect, and then her skill number 2 is life rain plus. So she's all about healing, and if you would like to utilize the Halloween style with that, I don't think that would be useful. If anything, I would say Water Festival would be more useful, because she can do Water Festival and then keep on rotating with skill number 1, hoping that, you know, the small chance would be able to heal the party. Okay, so that should cover Narwhal's daughter and Silver. Next up would be Tatyana. So Tatyana is all pure DPS. So Tatyana, if she is hitting the enemy's weak point, she would be able to have 70% damage boost. So she has 30% from Fired Up 6, and then for the global change with second ability, she always has a 20% attack extra, so that's already a total of 50%. And then when landing a weak point attack, she would do an extra 20% attack, so that gives her a total of 70% attack. And just to note that Tatyana is one of the highest strength characters in the game. So she, other than that, she's pure DPS with AoE and single target. She might be able to prove herself useful with Remembrance Battle, not only for Real Queen, but later on with Deathmaster, wherein she would do really good damage. However, if you would need her to focus on certain aspect like say AoE farming, then you would need inherit from say spiral style for her to keep on using wide hammer, or from global style where she can have wide stamp instead. And then she also has a self BP battery, albeit just a medium chance, so 25% to gain BP plus 5. But yeah, all in all, Tatyana is solid because, as you know, hammer characters are kind of lacking with good DPS, so Tatyana would be able to help with that. And lastly, we have Death. So I know Death is the kind of the star of the banner. If you see how the banner looks like, so Death kind of is uh overpowered by the other characters in the banner, where they're able to focus on what they can do best, like say Narwhal's daughter for hard content, Tatyana and Silver in dealing DPS. So Death is kind of in between of being a um, support for farmers and a DPS. That's why his kit doesn't look like it's very appealing to certain people. In if you're looking at it initially, because look, the for the ability he has fired up 6, 30% attack up, and then intelligence and agility debuffing medium, small effect, not even medium effect, and then BP plus 1 at start of turn. So those two, I don't think that's enough to justify that he would be able to do good damage with the skills he has. The good thing he has is Halloween time, wherein it gives attack boost to the party, and then it gives a blunt attack boost to the party as well, and then a shadow attack boost again for the party. So that's how he is able to help farming, especially on those elements. Other than that, he's able to do pretty decent damage, I would say, for a single target, a 2-hit random S damage, so that's pretty good. However, the skill number 2, even though it's 2 hits, it's a 1 to 2 times, so you gotta roll on a 50% chance for Death to do 2 hits on his skill number 2. And then skill number 3 is an AoE. So right now with unconsciousness or insta kill, it's best to be used in dojo, just to be done with it faster. So if that's enough for you to pull for Death, then yeah, go for Death. Otherwise, I would suggest, if you're lacking hard content characters, pull for Narwhal's daughter, especially if um you don't have a decent debuffer in the party. Narwhal's daughter should be able to help you with that other, and then on top of her being able to debuff willpower at the start of the battle, so she is able to help those, if you want to do the ailment method for a boss, for example, that Narwhal's daughter and then Volcano and other characters that debuff the willpower would help with in that process. But if you are able to wait for 3 more months, in February we would have Matriarch with Valentine style, and that Matriarch also has a debuff skill, just like Narwhal's daughter, and also buffs everyone with all ailments, all attributes rather. So that's the Doki Doki song from Valentine Matriarch. So if you can wait 3 months for that, I would say Matriarch would have the upper ground on that. But if you would like to pull for Narwhal's daughter because you like her, just like one of my viewers in stream, Tepwin, he loves Narwhal's daughter, so he targets this banner for Narwhal's daughter. So yeah, I wouldn't stop you because Narwhal's daughter is pretty solid in my opinion. And then if you need the DPS, Silver and Tatyana would be able to deliver. Silver would be more of the upper ground on that one, covering slash, cold, and thunder element. Those are really good elements as far as farming goes. And with heat up in added into her kit, that she would be able to do pretty good damage for round 1 and round 3. Later on, However, with the UDX style, it's a nice to have this Halloween style, to have some inherit for the UDX style. And then Tatyana, like I said, is pure DPS. She doesn't, well, she has a beachside style, but it would be more into being a support. I remember. I can't recall what the beachside style does, but she would still continue to be delivering blunt damage. Unfortunately, majority of her skills would be blunt damage, but she does really good at it and she excels at that. And then, like I said, for death, the main redeeming factor he has is more into the support for farmer with Halloween time. Other than that, his attacks are pretty mediocre for an AoE, even though it's S damage for 14 BP. That's asking a lot, because right now the standard is for 10 BP AoE. They would be doing A damage, and then for single target, for 6 BP, they would at least be doing S, if not SS damage. So, with death having to roll 50%, to have 2 hits for skill number 2 is kind of hard to justify that he would be able to deliver good damage without relying on RNG. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the banner. I'll do the reprint banner on a separate video, but just a quick note on that. It would be good to pick up Narwhal's daughter in that as well. I haven't really looked into the reprint banner just yet, but from what I can tell, Narwhal's daughter is really good. Wicked Witch, her time for inflicting paralysis is kind of dwindling down a little. So if you don't care for that, then don't chase for Wicked Witch, and definitely Rook. Rook is still a solid blunt DPS today. I continue to use Rook with a lot of the farming that needed blunt damage for single target, especially for farming. And Gerard, the Imperial Assault is still helpful for farming. That's about it for Gerard, because Galactic Rift can only be used on turn 2, and then so if anything, he would be a turn 2, turn 3 farmer with Galactic Rift and then Sunflash. Final Empress, still really good with Hazy Twin Moon and then Bright Wind Blade, but we would have Christmas Style pretty soon, so Christmas Style is pretty solid and can stand alone on her own with just her own kit. That's the quick overview for the reprint. I'll go over the details on a separate video. So that's my thought on the Halloween banner and a quick preview of the reprint banner. Let me know your thoughts, if you agree or disagree with what I said. But ultimately, hopefully, my goal is to help you decide whether you want to pull for the banner or not. And with that, thank you so much for listening in, and see you in the next video.